Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
I think a Hedgehog manga would be great. I think Star Fox would work as a manga or like a Saturday morning cartoon show.
Alright, well, you want to go ahead and get into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright. Hi, everyone. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is Matt, a.k.a. That Matt Kid. Hi, Matt.
What's up? What's up?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. So Matt was here the last time that we talked about Sonic the Hedgehog in a character profile.
Yep.
And then Matt was all like, hey, we should do an episode on the Sonic the Hedgehog anime movie from 1999. During the last episode of Geeky Gentlemen, I'm like, oh, cool, that'd be fun. And unfortunately, no one else could make it because apparently no one else is dumb enough to watch this.
I envy them, really.
Yeah, this is the opposite of good.
Yeah, it's a thing that is not great. I mean, spoiler alert, I don't think it's very good. You know?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, I've only seen this one other time. I'd never heard of it growing up or anything. A couple years ago, I was in a Sonic phase again, and I knew that it existed. I found out that it existed, and I found it on YouTube and put it in my watch later at one point. And then I watched it a couple weeks after that. But I watched, and I remember, you know, finding it to some degree enjoyable. But here's the thing. I watched it after I'd just gotten home from the ER and was still pretty high on pain meds. Which is probably the best way to watch this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's the best time to watch it. I have kind of the opposite experience. I used to watch this movie all the time as a kid, and I'll tell you what I would do. I would go to my Blockbuster, because when I was growing up, we had a Blockbuster, not 2 minutes from my house, so I went there all the time. And I remember I would rent this movie constantly, and I would rent Batman Mask of the Phantasm constantly.
You know what movie
and these two movies.
You know what movie I would rent constantly from my local video store?
What?
I don't know if anyone knows about... Like, Nostalgia Critic did an episode on it at one point, I'm pretty sure. But, it was like this anti-smoking video that was put out that used all these different cartoon characters from all these different franchises. And I'm pretty sure Sonic shows up in it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's just to encourage kids not to smoke cigarettes and stuff. It's like I would read that constantly just to see those characters on screen together. I didn't even understand that there was a message to it, but yeah. Back in our day, you would have to go to a store and pay money to like borrow a movie.
Oh my god, I used to ride my bike to Blockbuster, man. Those were the days.
Yeah, I'd walk down. I lived pretty close to one too. When my dad was living in Canton, I'd walk to one. I borrowed his driving gloves because I thought they made me look cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Yeah. I was like 12. It worked. Anyway, so yeah, this movie is like this really weird contradiction for me because it's not good, but it looks really pretty.
Yeah, this movie, it was actually made in 96. It didn't come to the United States until 99. And even though I don't know my animation houses all that well. I know it's not done by the same animation house that did the Sonic CD openings, but it's based in that same sort of art style, and it just works for Sonic. Like, this art style, these character designs, they they just work. They look
For the
great.
most part, there's a couple
Sure.
moments like it's when he's standing on like a spire or something. His feet get all like weird and elongated and stuff. I don't like that, but yeah, for the most part, this just looks really, really cool. And yeah, the reason it looks really cool is because it was done by the animation team that did Sonic or because it's based on the animation team that did Sonic CD. The animation team that did Sonic CD is motherfucking the same people that did Dragon Ball Z back in the day. So they knew their shit.
It's so funny because when you get into like the fight scenes and the super speed, like that's a clear influence because they do sort of the same after imagey type stuff that they do with like instant transmission in DBZ.
Well, I mean, just everything about Sonic is pretty much a ripoff of DBZ.
Oh, sure.
I mean, there's like even the creator of Sonic has like come out and admitted, yeah, Dragon Ball Z was cool, and so I just stole from Dragon Ball Z. There's
DBZ's
like an
cool.
episode of Sonic X that I've seen like images from where Sonic's got a scouter on. It's such a weird image to me because his ears are on the top of his head. And
that's in like the first couple of episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, you're totally on it though. The animation style it looks really cool, and you know we talked about the other animated Sonic shows back when we did that episode on Sonic, but man, the anime influence it looks so good. Everything about this looks awesome.
It works for this character. I would love to see some of the stories from the comics adapted in this sort of art style. I think it would look fantastic. Even the things that should look silly look awesome. I think Metal Robotnik looks pretty kind of hardcore. Like he looks like the Death Egg robot, but way cooler. Like and yeah, like his design is actually pretty legit in the way his hand like turns into the Gatling gun, and like he just looks pretty darn cool. He almost looks
a little bit like the Egg Dragoon from Generations too. It's like a kind of a combination of those two things. I agree. Like the character designs, the animation, all of that looks really, really pretty. But where this the other thing that's like just undeniably good about this is the soundtrack, the music choices.
Yeah, the music's great, which is again the thing that always comes up with Sonic is that the music's great. But the music is here that bum 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 ba dum, like it's so good, so catchy. There's a lot of great tunes in this that I hear them and I just immediately think Sonic. And that's I'm that way with a lot of Sonic stuff. And some of the visuals are cool even beyond just the character designs. I think when they get down to Robotropolis and you see like the huge city with like Eggman or Robotnik's image like plastered on it in lights, like I just think like wow, looks neat, looks cool.
Yeah, and that's something that like has really kind of stuck around in the franchise since. I'm sure this didn't like create it, but this really did show you how freaking cool that could look, because I mean that's in Eggman Land when you get to what's it called? Shitty game with the good parts.
Unleashed.
Yes, thank you. You get to Eggman Land with Unleashed, that has Robotnik's face all over it. In Studiopolis Zone, you've got, like, Eggman iconography all over the place and, like, really big kind of Hollywood sign stuff for Sonic Mania. So that's really stuck around, and it just works on a design level. It's not subtle at all, and I love it.
No, yeah, and that's been a big thing. I mean, I think we had that even going back to, like, Sonic 3... Sonic Adventure, you had Robotnik or Eggman plastering his face all over everything he owns. Mm-hmm. And I thought it works so well in this. And, and also, I think Eggman himself, this is going to be a constant struggle. I think Robotnik himself is really great in this. I think he's really funny. He's not quite, Jim Cummings or Mike Pollock, but he's still really good. But yeah.
No.
No? You don't enjoy him?
No, he's not the worst thing about this, but not for lack of trying. I don't know, it's just, like, okay, so one of the things that I really don't like about anime just in general, and one of the reasons I'm not into a lot of anime shows and movies, is because I cannot stand when it goes from, like, serious, cool, dynamic animation to suddenly the character has eyes 4 times as big as their head, and their mouth has expanded as well, and their face is completely flat. I can't stand the whole chibi humor side of anime stuff. I really hate just that transition. It never works for me. It always takes me right out of the moment.
I do too, if it's in something that at least semi tries to take itself seriously. When you get into the really, like, shoujo-y, mostly comedy stuff, it doesn't bother me, which is probably why it doesn't bother me too much in this, but I definitely get that.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like none of the jokes land for me anyway.
No, none of the jokes land at all. I just think Eggman has the most unintentionally kind of fun bits.
Yeah, none of the jokes in it land for me. I find the girl character completely annoying and have no idea who the hell she is. And is she a Super Saiyan? Is she a because she's got the tail? So
yeah, is she from Vegeta?
I don't know, man. It's just there's a lot of stuff like that none of those jokes landed for me, and all of the scenes with Robotnik are just the chibi humor scenes, and that's something that never really entertains me. So no, he didn't work for me at all.
Fair enough.
Very, very little of the characters worked for me here. I think possibly the worst thing about this is not the story, which is saying something, because the story's pretty incomprehensible, but it's the voice acting.
The voice acting is horrendous. Tails sounds like he has a cold the whole movie. And I mean, Sonic, I don't know, the direction they took Sonic is bizarre. The direction they took Knuckles is really bizarre. Yeah, I agree with you there. The voice acting is so strange. They're all weird choices. I used to really not mind this version of Sonic when it comes to his voice when I was younger. Every time I hear it, it just grates on me more and more, to the point where I really kind of hate it, and I kind of hate everyone's voice in this.
It's so annoying, and it's terrible. It's terrible voice direction choices. The thing that drove me crazy about the voice acting in this is just it's so high pitched, and it doesn't make any the characters, the voices don't fit the characters, but also the dialogue's just atrocious.
No,
you know everything I'm gonna do, but I know everything you're gonna do too. Strange,
isn't it? Oh, that's become such a meme in, like, not really like a meme because it's not like well known, but like when hardcore Sonic people love quoting that because it's hilarious. It's so dumb, and I mean, like, God, like, Metal Sonic looks so ridiculously cool in this,
he does.
But they still. But, like, I mean, like, I could talk about the, like, Metal Sonic in this all day. He's so freaking cool. But they have this whole weird story element where, because the plot of this movie is so bizarre, right? Where, like, Robotnik shows up and he's like, hey, this metal Robotnik kicked me out of my place. You gotta go fight him. But it's all like a trap so he can copy Sonic's personality and put it on a robot. It's so bizarre, but when Metal Sonic and Sonic are fighting, I find it hard to care, because Metal Sonic is so freaking cool looking in this animation. And, like, when he first powers up that jet turbine and it just, like, blasts everything away, it is... I almost forget how awful the rest of the movie is, because it's so cool.
It is. It totally has that thing where it's so easy to ignore the flaws in this because of how much awesome happens. And it really does help that, like, there's a bad story here, but there's not a lot of story. A lot of this is focused on the action, which is undeniably dynamic and fascinating and just fun to watch. Like, I love... Like, okay, Tails wailing and screaming on the plane, all that stuff, fine, but when Sonic jumps up and goes and saves them from the fucking jet crash, that's epic as shit.
And he just, like, bolts across the cliffside and then jumps out of the explosion. It's so cool.
It is. like this Sonic and Metal Sonic fight, both of them are great, but like that first one, when Sonic's on the peak and he's like, where'd he go? And then Metal Sonic just like pops up behind him and does that whole leg sweep kick
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, where he's like upside down, his leg like drops and they like flings it around.
Yeah. It's so unique and interesting, and like, yes, Sonic is a ripoff of Dragon Ball Z. Yes, this is aping on that too, but that's not something I think you'd see in Dragon Ball Z. It's just it looks uniquely Sonic-esque in a weird way.
Yeah, it takes advantage of the fact that, you know, these aren't human characters, and you have this, and Metal Sonic is cool because he's even further removed from it. He's not only a human character, he's like a facsimile of a anthropomorphic character, so you can do like even weirder stuff with him because he's both a robot and just a hedgehog thing. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's so neat to see all this. Let me ask you a question, and we can talk about this for a while, because this is something that I think could be interesting.
Sure.
I was initially watching this thinking, okay, the voice acting is pretty bad, but if the rest of it's good, it could probably be saved by a fan dub. And I don't watch a ton of fan dubs. I know most of them are probably pretty awful.
Yeah.
But do you think that this could be saved by a fan dub if they also made it a fan edit and just changed as much of the story as they could?
Saved is a strong word. Made much better, probably. Could you ever take this material and turn it into something legitimately compelling? Probably not. But I think if you got a fan dub where you had much more competent voice directing, you cut out some of the stupid crap that makes no sense, and I mean, there is this sort of emotional scene at the end with Sonic and Metal that you could maybe pull something out of. So I think a fan dub would have the potential to really, at the very least, highlight what's really good about this and kind of bury away the crap a little bit better.
Yeah, I think if you make like a kind of a crossbreed of a fan dub and a fan edit, you take out as much of the stupid as you possibly can. Pull a DBZA, take out the stuff you absolutely can do without. Like, I'd almost want to take out Alex is her name, right? The president's daughter, I think?
No, her name is Sarah.
Sarah, whatever.
It doesn't matter. I'm just...
Take out the Saiyan woman, and, like, do everything you can to take her out, but unfortunately you can't remove her completely because she comes back, and, like, toward the end in an important way. Yeah, so like it would definitely require some skill, and you'd really have to think through the script. But I think you could really save this, not just make it work a little bit better. I think you could save it if you gave Sonic an internal monologue.
I think so too.
Then you could edit the story so much.
I think so too. I think there's something to be done with Sonic and Metal's dynamic in this. It reminds me a lot of what we did with Sonic and Scourge in the comics. And no one's gonna know what I'm talking about. Scourge is like this basically evil version of Sonic from an alternate dimension. And
of course.
Yeah. Sonic comics are filled with things that sound stupid and cliche but are done kind of okay. And like they do some really cool things with them where they're basically have this whole bit of, Scourge is saying if you were just slightly more selfish, you would be me. And Sonic's like, if you did one good thing in your life, you would probably be me. And this whole like thing, it's kind of dumb, but it's cool. And like, I feel like there is something to be done with Sonic and Metal having this pseudo like shared brain thing. I don't know what you would do with it, but I think there's potential there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like the whole personality copying part of that.
I don't either, mostly because it makes no real sense and they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, like, okay, how does if Robotnik put Sonic's personality into Metal Sonic, how does putting more of Sonic's personality into Metal Sonic blow him up? I don't get that at all.
Tails has this line where he's like, oh, I can, like, bring forth like more of the Sonic's personality in Metal Sonic, but I'm confused as to how much of Sonic's personality is in there from the beginning, and then I'm confused by if Sonic's personality is in there, why is he going around mass murdering people once he thinks he's like beaten Sonic? And that kind of stuff is all really confusing to me. And it didn't have to be, but they decided to make a big deal about him and Sonic, as Tails says, being like twins because they have the same memories and experiences. And I don't understand. I don't get what they thought they were doing with that, if anything.
Yeah, and this is where we get to, again, I talked about it a little bit. This is where we get to my fan theory that I heard, that I just love the idea of Metal Sonic being a roboticized Sonic from an alternate timeline.
I really like that. I do like that.
Because that would work so much better if, like, he's in there, and he knows that he's really Sonic, and that this other one is just some, like, fake, not really the real... Like, that works on a really good, like, as great motivation for a character. Unfortunately, it's just, I don't know how you could introduce that element if you were to try to edit the story. Even with something like an internal monologue, you'd almost need a Star Wars-style scroll at the beginning.
Yeah, because that could be a really great motivation for a version of Metal Sonic that is this sort of alternate timeline of Sonic. Because that is a really cool idea that I think would really give those two characters a really interesting thing. Because then the fact that they have the same personality really plays into the fact that they both have this sort of arrogant side to them. I think that'd be really cool. And I mean, part of that is that a lot of the movie, we spend a good chunk of time before we even get to the Metal Sonic stuff. We spend a lot of time fighting Metal Robotnik and getting to Metal Robotnik.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like that stuff works too. You could build that into it as, like, because I feel like you could cut at least some of the Metal Robotnik stuff. Some of the Robotnik stuff out of the Metal Robotnik stuff and make the Metal Robotnik thing, like, part of... Okay, here we go. So Robotnik gives Tails the watch at the beginning, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The watch is actually tracking what Sonic is doing, what moves he's making, and uploading that into Metal Sonic's database. So Metal Robotnik is meant to be some kind of ruse, but it's really meant to push Sonic to his limits, so Robotnik knows he's getting the absolute best of Sonic for his copy.
See, that works so much better, I feel like, than what they actually did. I really like that.
Yeah, like, you should watch the latest episode of Comic Reviews I did where I rewrote Green Lantern Planet of the Apes crossover, and it's like 9 times better than the book and not predictable as fuck. Still the dumbest idea for a crossover ever.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's the most predictable thing in the world. But anyway, that would really work. Because that's kind of what I really get the sense watching this that Sonic Prologue, the fan film, pulled a lot from this, but did it a lot better. This is what I mean when I say fans do better work than the creators with Sonic.
Yeah.
Because they take a lot of cool ideas, a lot of the neat, fight and run choreography and stuff like that, and integrate it well, but they give you a more coherent, better story in the process.
Yeah.
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 And that's just... Why? Why is that so hard, Sega?
You got me, man. I've been asking that question for a lot of years.
Oh, man. Again, we always talk about this with Sonic. He's like the drunk relative that you never see get better. It's sad.
But yeah, I mean, I think we definitely hit the nail on the head with, I mean, as much as you can rip this movie's story, voice acting, dialogue, characters, all the things that make for an important narrative, as much as you can rip that to shreds, I'll be darned if I don't have a good time watching some of the scenes in this.
Yeah, you almost just want to watch an edit of it of all the action scenes and just put it to like a score or something, right?
Yeah, basically.
It's hard not to find something cool about this. Like you'd have to just, even if you only had a passing interest in Sonic, I'd like to think that those scenes work. And this is disappointing because Steve only has a passing interest at best in Sonic, but he couldn't be here tonight.
Oh, I would have loved to see that reaction.
Ah, damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Oh. Man. I hate it when, like, I'm counting on a wider cast, and because I did think that'd be interesting to see more people's reaction to, and
you just get stuck with me.
Yeah, just fucking this guy with his weird Sonic fan fiction erotica obsession.
Hey, don't judge. Hate the game, not the player.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense right now.
Oh God,
Matt, how many of your Sonic erotica fan fictions are based off of this movie? Like the ones you wrote, not the ones you read.
Oh, I mean, only a couple. I do what I can with Sarah, but she's not a real three-dimensional character. I really try to flesh her out when I write her, though. Do a lot of self-inserts in this world, to be real with you. I like to imagine myself dating the cat girl, as opposed to that's the thing. Is I had the hardest time figuring out what she's supposed to be, and I guess it's just a cat girl, because I get thrown off because it does look like a monkey tail.
It does. I did not notice she was supposed to be a cat girl. I thought monkey tail. I
found that out.
Maybe I've been watching too much Dragon Ball Z, but in all fairness, I'm in the middle of the Cell Saga. The tails are long gone. So...
Okay, what else? Knuckles is weird in this because his voice is like really bizarre compared to what you're used to.
The problem is he's got the best voice and it's still not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Although his the cowboy hat was invented, I did as much research as I could find. Man, this came out in '96. That hat, I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've seen Knuckles wearing it, because the characters in the comics who wear that hat weren't really created until like '97. So the hat was created for this movie, I think. I don't think anyone cares about that, but I mean, it's a factoid.
It's just so bizarre to see, because like no one else, okay, here's the other thing. Knuckles is wearing the hat, and later the owl guy's wearing Sonic's favorite clothes.
Yeah, his favorite clothes that Metal Sonic made him put on for reasons.
That's something to edit right the fuck out right there. Is that dude's dead in the fan edit. I'm just saying, that dude is straight up murdered in the fan edit.
He hit the wall and died.
No. I want Metal Sonic to kill him. Like, blood.
Oh,
fucking,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Sonic EXE this shit, man.
Oh, dude, yes. Give me all that creepypasta nonsense in this. I would love that.
Yeah. So that was the thing, is like, that's clearly a murder scene, and then the next scene is like, Metal Sonic made him put on Sonic's favorite clothes. Okay, what? Why the fuck did Sonic do that?
Yeah, if Metal Sonic thinks he's Sonic, why wouldn't Metal just take the clothes and put them on?
How underwhelming would that make the rest of... Like, imagine the exact same fight scene, but Metal Sonic's wearing that outfit the whole time.
He's got that pink shirt and the weird blue, shorts with the arrows on them. Like, it's so weird.
It's the exact same fight choreography and everything. It's just that outfit the whole time. It kind of undercuts everything, wouldn't it? Oh, that'd be amazing.
It might be the only thing that was, legitimately funny.
It's... okay, that doesn't make any sense, but yeah, it's Knuckles' voice, and Knuckles' hat. Knuckles is so out of place in this, because he just
pops up.
He just randomly pops up out of the ground, out of nowhere. He should have been with him from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree. I think this could have been a really fun, if Knuckles was there from the beginning, and it could have been, this fun, Team Sonic movie, but, no, he just shows up halfway through, and it's just I can't let you guys go there alone. And then he, like, follows them. And then...
Well, that's the thing, is, like, it felt like they were about to have him leave, and then in the last minute they're like, no, fuck it, let's just keep him around. But we already animated the scene where he was about to leave him. Yeah, just have him come back.
Yeah, just be like, and he, like, oh my gosh, it's so weird that, like, why can he just fly? Like, he just floats, and I don't understand it.
I mean, it's one of those things. What were you talking about when we did the episode on video game mechanics? What was the term? Dissonance or whatever?
Yeah. Ludo narrative dissonance.
Yeah, that. Because Knuckles can glide in the game, so in the cutscenes he can float, I guess, is the logic that they're using here.
Yeah.
Before cutscenes were really a thing.
Yeah.
I guess that's seriously that is probably more thought than they put into it.
Probably.
Tails. Okay, here's a scene that confuses the fuck out of me with Tails.
Okay.
He has his tails stuck together. I'll give you suspension of disbelief. Fox with two tails can use him as a helicopter to fly. Okay, that part I'll give you. Fine.
Sure.
Whatever. He gets them stuck together. He can't fly anymore. Okay. Fine. Whatever. Literally seconds later, he still uses them as a propeller. So
I was about to say, is that where you're going with this?
Yes. How does that make any sense? If he can, if he can use them as a propeller, that means he can use them as a helicopter propeller, and he should still be fine. But he uses them as a propeller. So, why can he do it in water but not air? Like, that doesn't make any sense. If they're stuck together and can't move.
I was wondering that. I never noticed that until this viewing. And I was like, oh, yeah, man, his tails are stuck together. What is he going to do? And I'm just like, oh, well, I guess he's fine then.
It's so stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Think about anything.
No, very little effort was put into any, like, actual character decision or line or anything at all in this. But goddamn, does the tornado look cool?
Right? That's like everything. Like, everything bad you can say about it, you can go, like, but this scene was awesome, right?
Yeah!
Like, you know, even though the story makes no sense, there's absolutely no reason that it calls for it. That scene at the end with Metal Sonic, like, clawing his way towards Sonic and Sonic trying to save him, then him, like, swiping at him, is really interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome. Because even in death, he's like, there can only be one, and it clearly it's not going to be me. And I'm like, that's...
Hold on.
So... Yeah.
Now I've got to look up if I can find Sonic Highlander fan art.
Oh God! I tell you, I found some. Like, I'm just Google imaging Sonic the movie OVA, which is generally what this goes by. You find a disturbing amount of Sarah fan art, which is not great because she has no character and is useless. Like, she's pointless in the movie. Like, she's not even a hostage because the president's a hostage. Like, she is just there to be some weird female anime cat girl. It makes no sense. But goddamn, this image of Metal Sonic kneeing Sonic in the jaw is cool.
Yeah.
I can't deal with this polarizing movie.
It's disappointing. I cannot find Sonic and Highlander fan art, but, you know, there's totally Sonic and the Black Knight character design stuff out there. It could be done. It just needs someone who's a fan of Sonic and Highlander to do it.
I don't know how much overlap there is there.
I know. It's weird, because usually when I'm looking for crossover fan art, it's always really easy to find Sonic fan art that crosses over with something else. But regardless. But just, like, Sarah's a pointless character, and yes, she is a hostage, but somehow she's in control. Because she's like, play the game with me again, or I'm not going to be your hostage anymore. Okay. You keep beating me. No, but I still want you to be my hostage. We can play again. Well, Robotnik, why the fuck didn't you lose on purpose?
Oh my God, that's the one joke that I think kind of lands with me. I'm just like, that's hilarious. And it's hilarious in the same stupid way as in, like, Adventures of Sonic when he, like, taps on the robot, and he's like, I'm over there, and like all that stuff. Like this like stupid, makes no sense if you give it 2 seconds of thought, but in the moment, kind of funny.
Oh my god, I don't know, man. I don't think I was nearly high enough for this viewing. Like, I wasn't just on painkillers the last time I watched this. I was on, like, a morphine drip the last time I watched... Like, I was coming off of a morphine drip the last time I watched this.
Gosh.
And that's the way to watch it, I'll tell you that right now.
I'm
Either
sure.
with nostalgia glasses on, or just fucking baked.
I don't even want to know what I would think of this movie if I hadn't, like, obsessively watched it all the time as a kid. Like, if that was not there, I would probably just think this is garbage and write it off as garbage, but because I watched it so much as a kid, dang, it's charming to me in like, the worst way possible. So.
I don't know, man, because, like, I'm enjoying the same things I feel you're enjoying for the most part, and I didn't watch it as a kid.
Yeah,
I think
that's
just
fair.
having a love of Sonic, which usually comes from being a kid, I don't know how many people get into Sonic as an adult. I will say this much. I became more of a Sonic fan as an adult than I ever was as a kid, but I still got introduced and liked the character when I was a kid. So take that for whatever it's worth, but I think anyone who liked Sonic will watch this and agree that the animation and the fight scenes and stuff are really cool, and the rest of it doesn't matter how bad it is. I mean, to be perfectly honest, and this is where I'm probably going to lose you and anyone that's watched this far into the video.
Okay.
The story's probably about on par with most of the games anyway.
Ouch. Oh, it burns my soul. Ow.
And I say that Adventure and Adventure 2 included.
Ow. But I would say... Look, I'm not going to fight you super hard on that, but I will say, I think that at least the concepts and ideas in those stories at least are much better than anything in this. I'll say that. At least to me. That's about as much as I'm willing to get to fight about this.
Well, like, okay, because the relationship between Sonic and Metal is, it's developed about as well as the relationship between Sonic and Shadow in Adventure 2. The plot is, again, generally, like, fighting perfect chaos is cool and all, but end of the day, it makes about as much sense as the end of the fight here with Metal. Sonic Heroes, probably the best plotted Sonic game, which is really impressive. I do love
the story of Sonic Heroes.
It's really impressive on a plot structure standpoint, given the multiple teams to follow and stuff, but probably the best plotted, but the dialogue's about on par with that.
Yeah.
We're Sonic Heroes! Yeah.
Yeah. Can I do something a little self-indulgent? Can we talk about the how like the ruins of the ancient world or like the dark world or whatever are just like modern cities and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know what to think of that. Because then the implication was that all of the current society in which like the president and Sonic live are like floating islands then.
Yeah.
Like Angel Island, which is weird to think about.
I don't want to, like, say this for sure and because this came out in 96, and while I know the history of, like, the Sonic comics pretty well, I don't know what time this was introduced in the comics necessarily, because in the comics, the whole thing is that, like, they live on Mobius, but Mobius was basically Earth until this, like, this is gonna get real weird real fast. So this ancient, these aliens called the Zorda came down and they basically wiped out all of humanity. And those that survived only survived by like living in these isolated island, self-contained city-states. and then the Zorda used this like deatomizer type deal to reduce the rest of the life on Earth to its most basic elements. So when it re-evolved, it became these like anthropomorphic hedgehogs and crap like that. And so like there are ruins of original like OG human cities in the Sonic comics that people find sometimes. And so I'm wondering if that had any influence on this or vice versa. Again, really weird, crazy, stupid stuff that happened in the comics, but I'm just kind of wondering if that has anything to do with why the world is set up the way it is in this movie. Because it's really bizarre for something that has no explanation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Was literally any of that meant to mean anything to me?
No.
Kidding.
I'm just wondering, like, it's a weird choice to be like, there's the Darkland and, like, the whatever, and it's, like, a weird choice to, like, make a big deal about that, and then to have them go down there, comment on the fact that, like, oh, this isn't what I thought these, like, ancient ruins or whatever would look like, but then there's, like, no reason for them to look like Manhattan. Like, why do they look like that? There's no reason for it, and it's, I mean, I'm again, this is a stupid thing to complain about or to even bring up. I'm just kind of curious as to why they did it that way.
I don't know, man. Like, I think a lot of it has to do with Sonic has always had, like, this environmentalism message to it, and to see, like, yeah, it does look like Manhattan just flooded. I think that has a side of it. I also think that Sonic in cities is just, like, naturally cool.
It is.
It just kind of works on a certain level to just see Sonic running around in a city, that the whole parkour thing. You know, a lot of people, what was it? An old Tosh.0 joke was, the best parkour master ever was Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm like, yeah, that is totally true.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a part of it too. I think they just wanted to do something with, you know, where they could have them running and have it make sense. And it's easier to animate a city than it is a forest, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, I mean, a good chunk of this, they, like, are running through a forest area doing kind of, like... It's really funny to see those...
brief. That is a really brief section where they're in a forest.
Yeah, it's really weird to see those, like, zone hazards, like spikes and like springs, just kind of randomly show up, because like when you take it out of the context of like a level, it's suddenly kind of weird, but like it's kind of cool to watch him like do that stuff. Like when he jumps off that spring and he just like flies high into the air again, looks pretty cool. It's just kind of bizarre.
Actually, that one didn't bother me as much because there is a line that kind of addresses it where Tails says, I think Robotnik is making us take the most dangerous route to this.
Yeah, and then he's like, but this is the fastest way according to the thing, and yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, on some level that works for me because that's how it works in the games, is you're in the forest, but there's still the hazards, and then you get closer to Robotnik's lair. And I think what it is just they're in the forest getting closer to Robotnik's lair. And so it's like the hazards begin there and only get worse as they go. It would have helped, like, because you get a little bit of it when they get, like, really close to the sanctuary, the machine that Sonic flips. You get more enemies and stuff pop up. It would have been good if there was, you know, maybe a little less... It would have been more consistent, not necessarily good. If there's a little less time on the Metal Robotnik fight and more like just another section of traps in the city zone. Because you almost could break it down like zones. There's the forest zone, then there's the boss fight with Metal Robotnik, then there's the city zone. Yeah, you can almost break it down that way.
Yeah, I think you could, easily. And it's because you do have... I'm trying to think of...
I would love to play the game for this.
Yeah, I was thinking that as I was watching that. I was like, this almost makes more sense as, like, the plot, like, a simple plot for a Sonic game, in a sense. Like, how cool would it be to do these, like, big jungle levels, and then you get into these, like, abandoned city levels? I was thinking the same thing watching it this time, that this would make a fantastic game.
You know, there are a ton of Sonic fan games. A lot of them better than most Sonic games. This could someone could legitimately take this as a project, and here's the clip for the episode. Someone could take this as a project and make a Sonic fan game that uses clips from this movie as the cutscenes, and take out the parts of it you don't need, and give you a really, really interesting Sonic game.
I think you have a lot of people who are really competent and really talented at making, like, 2D pixel art, like, side-scrollers. I think this could be an amazing 2D Sonic side-scroller that does these sort of anime cutscenes, potentially. I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, it could be like Sonic CD2. That'd be the way to go with it. And with the going back to the Metal Sonic fan theory again, if you cut it in such a way that it's a follow-up to Sonic CD, then you can actually have the grounds to explore that fan theory.
Yeah, and I think that would be potentially really interesting and really cool.
Mm-hmm. So there you go, Internet. Make it happen.
Yep.
I don't know. It's like you ever follow Cobra Manny 4560? I think his username is on YouTube.
No, I don't. I'm not familiar.
He's a Let's Player that does a lot of fan games, and he got really famous for doing all the mods to Generations. He's done, I believe, cool. Like, even mods that haven't been released to the public, he has done for Generations. And so he did a lot of fan games and stuff like that, and I could see him doing a fan game like that. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see.
So there we go. Like I was talking, because, again, you could edit parts of it, you could tell story in-game, and you could change the voice cast. You could do a fan dub, fan game, fan edit all in one go. There's the project.
Yeah, you just edit. Yeah, you just put the levels where all the stupid crap is. Yeah, that'd be.
And then you have cool little like introduction level or introduction animations for certain levels. You could have you can cut out or you could do a multiple stage Metal Robotnik boss fight.
Yeah.
Where you cut it back and forth between some of the anime sections as, like, the breaks between stages, so you get, like, a checkpoint at each cinematic. Mm-hmm. That could be really neat.
Yeah, I'd be super into that, to be honest with you. That'd be awesome. Especially because when you look at... I mean, we brought this up a little bit, like, last time, when you look at, like, how cool that opening cutscene is for, like, Sonic Unleashed. Like, it'd be cool to have a game that really has those, like, fantastic, these really cool, well-animated action sequences, setting up your levels and setting up your boss fights.
Mm-hmm. Definitely agree. Yeah. There it is. There's the fan project.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No. I was saying yep. I agree with you.
Okay. All right. What else can we talk about with this? We are running out of things. We are beating this dead horse.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, is that, like, any inherent, like, legitimate criticism you can do of, like, the story or of, like, character decisions and stuff like that, it all boils down to, like, you're just kind of you're taking this movie more seriously than the people who made it when you're trying to, like, actually critique what's wrong with it on a narrative level, because what's right with it on a narrative level, There's no point in, like, critiquing the story, because there's, like, no story.
Yeah, this is definitely something that they knew would sell if they just made it look cool at points.
But what's great about it is that they, like, really succeeded in that. I'm trying to think of, like, other cool moments in the fight. I mean, like, as stupid as it is when they have that, like, strange, isn't it? Like, that scene of them, like, butting heads with, like, the jet exhaust going one way and, like, the speed exhaust going the other way. Like, it's cool to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's funny, like, I would really love to see what they make, like, we talk about, again, fan dubbing this. I would love to see what they would make that line be instead, because I don't think there's any way you could seriously deliver that line.
No.
I feel like the original voice actor laughed his ass off after finishing that take.
I hope so. The only other thing I could think to even talk about would be, when this came to the United States, I forget, it was either the VHS or the DVD release. One of them was
never
actually
been released on DVD.
Was it? I thought it was released on DVD at some point.
I remember at one point looking for it on DVD, and I'm pretty sure it has never been released on DVD. Let's go to the old eBay, and what's it called? Sonic
the
OVA.
Hedgehog. Yeah, usually OVA.
I'm pretty sure it's never gotten a DVD release. I'm pretty sure it's only been on Blu-ray.
Okay, Wikipedia claims it was released.
VHS.
Wikipedia claims it was
it
VHS and DVD.
Okay, you're right. I remember looking for it years ago, and I could never find a DVD, only VHS copies. That's funny.
Yeah, so the VHS copy and the DVD version are different. I've only ever seen the VHS version, at least I think. But there are some weird differences. When they released on VHS, they actually edited out some stuff that was removed. So some stuff that was removed from the VHS version, when Robotnik proposes to Sarah, there's like a daydream of them standing around, and there's like a bunch of kids around, and she's like breastfeeding one of the kids. That's removed. Robotnik Robotnik like trying to like grope her is removed. Also, there's a scene where Metal Sonic is kicked up by Sonic or something like that, and his head like goes through Robotnik's ship, and so he like can see up Sarah's like skirt or whatever. And because Sonic and him are linked, Sonic is able to like see that as well, and kind of feels the like embarrassment, and he like starts blushing and stuff. And then like she starts kicking Metal Sonic's head and like calling him a pervert or whatever, like typical like stupid anime humor. Which is that got cut out from the VHS release in the West, and then
typical like American translation of this stuff. We take out all the things that are pretty damned inappropriate.
Yeah. Oh, also Tails like crashing into Sarah and then like hugging her chest, and then Knuckles like calling him out on it. That's not in the United States VHS version, and I think that's it. And then I think the DVD version does have all that stuff, so I forget. But I know those things were cut out of the US VHS version.
So none of the cool stuff. That's good to hear.
No, just like the stupid, like, I don't want to say stupid, but like the inappropriate kind of that sort of fan service-y humor, if you want to call it that. It's not really fan service, but that kind of humor that's kind of inappropriate.
Fan service for characters that are not fan favorites and have
never...
Like, okay, there's the question. Has Sarah literally been in anything else before or after this?
God, that's the weird thing, right? Because, like, Manic and Sonia from Sonic Underground, they went on to have, like, kind of a legacy. As far as I know, Sarah hasn't. I mean, I was kind of thinking about that myself. When I was watching this movie, I was trying to think if Sarah might have been influenced by... when Sonic was first conceptualized, he was going to have a human girlfriend named Madonna. But Madonna was very much like kind of this blonde, like red dress, kind of Hollywood-looking type chick. So I don't think there was any real influence there. And I don't think Sarah has shown up, because, like, believe it or not, Princess Elise from Sonic 06 has shown up in the comics. But I don't think anyone's done anything with Sarah or that president guy or the owl guy. And I kind of hope they don't, because there's nothing to do.
I don't know, man. It's so random, because they act like she's been around for years, right?
Yeah, like, that character just comes out of nowhere. Because, like, that's the whole thing with this world, is I don't understand why anything is the way it is. And it just kind of, it's just like, alright, here's the stuff, here's the setup, alright, go. And it's just, okay. And yeah, they act like they act like Sonic and the President's daughter have this sort of, like, relationship where they've known each other for a while, but, like, we have no idea who this is.
Yeah, and, like, it's that whole in mid-res thing, right?
Yeah. But,
no, you need more exposition than that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and again, like you said earlier, it's so hard to talk about this because they didn't think it through. Why do we have to?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the Wikipedia article and I'm reading the critical reception, and it's like this reviewer from Anime News Network praised it for its action scenes, said it was good for the fans, but he called the English dub poor and said the story strayed from the video games a little too much and it was very basic. Like, in quotes, like, very basic, strayed a little bit from the video games. I'm like, man, you put too much effort into that review. More effort than they put into this movie, I promise.
Yeah. And, like, I guess that's really the thing, because I talk about, you know, we've talked again and again about fans doing something to make this better on some level.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that probably hasn't been done too much, or not been done in a way that I've ever heard of, is because the cool parts that are here are undeniably cool, but they're not enough to save it. And so, even as devoted as the Sonic fan base gets at times, I doubt there's enough people with the right kind of talent and background to want to approach this thing and try to save it.
But
like, I don't think that it's worth saving.
And at the same time, to me, it's almost the epitome of, like, kind of the thing with the Sonic fandom is that, like, boy, the story of this is terrible, but, like, the action and, like, the character dynamics between, like, Metal and Sonic, and kind of the fun that those characters have with, like, you see what they're trying to do with, like, the fun adventures of Sonic and Tails and Knuckles thwarting Robotnik and fighting Metal Sonic. Like, you see all that stuff and you're like, yeah, I want this to be good. I want this to be great, but it's just handled so poorly, and it's not up to snuff with the, like, action that is in this, like, terrible thing. And so you can totally see why, like, fans would get attached to it at a young age and then grow up and want to take that material and do something better with it. Like, you can totally see exactly how this kind of thing leads to people like me who are, like, way too into, who are way too deep now at this point, who feel like the Joker at the end of The Killing Joke, where he's just like, no, it's too late. It's too late. I can't. Like, that's how you get people like us, right? Who, well, I'm not roping you into that, but that's how you get people like me who are neck deep in that Sonic nonsense, and it's hard to get out of there, and because you don't want to, because you want to love it.
Yeah, and I just did a quick search for it, and there is a fan dub. I'm just gonna take a second here and skip around.
This is about the entire planet of freedom, so you'd better do what I say.
Oh, and this is probably being recorded. Sorry, folks.
Congratulations on your proud.
I just want to hear Sonic talk, damn it.
Yeah, that's okay. Also, this is kind of self-indulgent. I think it's funny, while he's doing that, I think it's funny that we call Metal Sonic Hyper Metal Sonic. I'm not sure what that's about. Kind of weird, but I kind of like it.
I just skipped around. There is a fan dub of it, and the voices can't possibly be any worse, so I'd say watch that. I just barely heard Sonic say, like, 2 words, and I don't know, depending on how the recording of Pamela for this went, you might have too, people. I'm sorry, I can't do anything about that at this point. But, yeah, I don't know, it's just one of those things, like, it cannot possibly be any worse for the voice. Like, even as bad as some fan dubs can be, it can't suck any more than the actual voice casting they went with. That's something I want to know, is how do creative decisions like this get through? Because guess what series I finally finished watching the other day? And this is an entirely separate rant, but guess what series?
What?
Star Trek Enterprise.
You have been bitching on Twitter about that show for a long time.
It's really bad. It is horribly bad. But, like, hands down, the worst thing about it, consistently, is its god-awful opening theme song. It's just terrible. I have no idea how anyone, one, approved Star Trek Enterprise as a show concept to begin with, but 2, approved that as the theme song for it. And then in Season 3, it somehow got worse. They made it, like, more upbeat and added, like, a drum track. So it somehow got even worse 2 seasons later. It was already a terrible decision. But I don't understand how things like this pass through through production standpoints. It's not just like 2 guys got high and made a thing, and now it's out there for the world. Multiple people had to sign off and oversee and approve this project. Who the fuck was in charge of voice direction on this?
Not someone good. Not like, they didn't get, fucking Andrea Romano to do this. Like, I don't know.
I don't know, man. It's just, like, shit like that. I'm like, who the fuck approved this?
I mean, it's gotta be, is it, maybe it's gotta be, a budget thing? Maybe they just couldn't... I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't know enough about how the industry of voice acting works to begin to answer actual, real reasons other than just, I don't know. Terrible people making terrible decisions.
I suppose so. It's just one of those things I'm like, who thought that was a good idea?
I
guess it was the same people that wrote the awful script.
Yeah. The guy who voices Robotnik also voices the president in this movie. Same guy,
okay.
So that's a thing.
Whatever. I'm so fucking done talking.
Trying to talk about it's just like you're just done.
I'm so fucking done with this. I'm just like, who fucking cares? It's just bad. It's the worst kind of bad, where it could have easily been at least passable. It could have been not bad, but it clearly made decisions because it wanted to suck.
Do you think
that's the only possible explanation?
Do you think it's one of those things where the good parts are so good that it makes you hate the bad parts even more?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're
exactly that.
Because you see the potential there, and you just get more angry. Because if the action scenes were also terrible and the animation was terrible, then you could just write this whole thing off. But because it's so darn fun to watch sometimes, you just have to keep sitting through all the bad to get to the good stuff.
And that makes it almost the perfect Sonic property, doesn't it? I cannot think of anything that is more symbolic. This movie is a metaphor for Sonic the character.
It's like a microcosm of the franchise.
It really is, though. It totally is. Everything that is good and bad about Sonic is in this. Terrible decisions that should never have passed, even the slightest bit of development muster, were made in this. Amazing ideas occurred, too. And just things that are undeniably cool and undeniably fun happen in this. It is completely... This is a metaphor for Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, gosh.
There we go. I think that's it. I think that's the end of the episode. Usually I ask if anyone has anything else to add, but we have said something of value about this. There.
That took a while.
It took an hour, but we did it. Okay, Matt, let's do our scores here. You go first on this one.
Oh wait, we do scores?
Yeah, shit, never mind. You haven't been on an episode where we do scores. Okay, here's how we do scores. You gotta get a 5 scale, and you gotta pick a noun related to the thing, okay? So I'll go first.
Okay.
I will give this 1.5 out of 5 random-ass green springs chilling in the forest.
Oh, God. I'll give this 2 out of 5 flaming Knuckles hats.
Nice. Okay. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. I'm not sure how it... Yeah, know what? Fuck it. If they don't show up, then I'm picking the episode topics. Next week, we're going to be discussing what DC movies should be adapted to animated... What DC stories should be adapted to animated films.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, should be a good time. Alright. Thank you again for joining me, Matt. Sorry no one else wanted to talk about this god-awful movie with us.
Are we surprised?
No. Like, I think Rasco just didn't want to do it.
Okay, well...
I seriously think Rasco just didn't want to do it.
Of course he didn't. I'm going to have words with him.
He says he's moving. I think that's an excuse. It's like when a girl tells you she's got to wash her hair.
Oh, God.
All right. So, yeah, that'll be next week. Matt, thanks again. Everyone, until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Sonic Erotica Lover.
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.